Hey there, welcome to the new garden. So we have finally got here. We moved and now are in California. This is a whole new growing zone, totally different climate. I think I'm zone 8A. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I know that we are past our last frost. So it is time to get planting. And I've been pretty much just sort of itching to get growing now that we've been here for just a couple days, but we've been away from the garden for a little while now. And so I am just so ready to get planting. So this is going to be where the new garden space is. As you can see, it's just a totally blank slate, just a slab of concrete. And I'm going to be doing all of containers on the space. So it's been a little bit interesting trying to plan. I want to share with you this process because especially when you have an area like this, it's completely blank, which is nice because you have endless opportunities. You can literally do anything, but it's also a little bit tricky too. When you have a totally blank space and you have all those endless opportunities, it can leave you to a little bit of like, analysis paralysis, I guess, trying to figure out what to start with, what do we do first. So my initial step was to determine how many containers I wanted to try to put out here and what I wanted kind of just growing space wise, what I wanted to have. And I decided that I really like the 4 2x4 raised beds that I had in my last garden. That really worked pretty well. It gave a lot of room to grow some of those like bigger crops, having that kind of like raised bed space. So lots of space for tomatoes. A couple 2x4 raised beds will give you plenty of room for flowers and some tomatoes, some peppers, maybe a couple eggplants, kind of just gives you enough space for that. So I want to stick with those 4 2x4 raised beds. And then because I am in like on pavement, I'm going to use some elevated raised beds for the space so that it can be up off of the concrete, that the concrete doesn't get disturbed or stained or anything. And then we can just have basically just full raised beds. They just won't go all the way down to the ground. So there will be kind of like that cutoff for the roots. So I'll have to keep that in mind as far as fertilizing the raised beds and making sure that all the plants have all the nutrients that they need. And then I'm also going to do a lot of containers in and around the raised beds as well, because I do just love to have containers. And so I'll put, some little container displays in that format. And I haven't quite decided what the actual layout is going to look like. I think we're gonna have to do a little bit more planning as far as that goes to actually determine where I want to lay out the raised beds. I am trying to come out over the next few days and just sort of keep an eye on where the sunlight goes. It's hard for you to hear my daughters in the background. They are out here just loving having a bigger backyard to play in. But I want to come out for the next couple days and determine the sunlight. That is really, really important because it will determine what you can grow and to some extent where you want to put things. So as you can see, we've got a little bit of sun here on the corner of this concrete space, and actually it looks like we get a little bit more shade than I would have expected. It's kind of like this big blank concrete space, so it makes you feel like maybe it's just going to be a super hot sunny area, but the house actually shades like a decent amount of the concrete. So I'm going to keep track of it. Right now it's like 2 in the afternoon and this corner is pretty well sunny, but this area that I'm at is still in the shade. I am imagining that will change though too when we get to, the summer. So right now, obviously it's January. And so we have like that winter sun. So the sun isn't as high as it will be probably in the summer, but I'm trying to just come out like every few hours over the next couple days and see if we can kind of determine the sunlight. I'll give you a better view of this growing space. As you can see, there is some water on the concrete right now. It has been raining here. It's been a little cloudy, which has made it kind of hard to see what the sun looks like. But the corner this whole line here is sun. And this is kind of shade. And it's been like this most of the day, although at noon there was a little bit more sun in this area. I still think it's going to be okay. As far as growing, I'm not super worried because I know I can do like some lettuce in some part shade areas, but I'm also kind of looking at this area along my house that also potentially I could put some raised beds. I don't know if I really want to utilize this space. One, it's like a walk-through space, and two, I love looking at my garden as a decorative part of my backyard area. And if I put it alongside of the house, I just don't really get to look at it very much because won't be seeing that area. But I'm just gonna kind of watch and see, because if that's like where the best sun is, then maybe. But you know, now at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, that's pretty shaded. This area is getting more sun, and so that area got morning sun. This is getting the afternoon sun, and I think this is going to be like prime tomato area right where I'm standing right here. Like, this is where my tomato raised bed or my tomato containers are going to need to go, because this will be kind of perfect. And there's also a garden shed right here, so I can have all my supplies like right out by the garden space, so that'll be perfect. So yeah, I'll do another video and like sit down and we'll plan out the actual layout, but I'm getting a lot of good information. And if you're starting with a blank slate like me, that would be kind of like, well, the 2 steps that I took were, one, starting to figure out, okay, like how much space, how many containers do I want to do? How much time do I have? I know that for me, the 4 raised beds, containers is the right amount of time for how much time I have. I've got 2 little girls, and you can hear running around in the backyard. My life is pretty busy. So I like the small garden, and I like that 4 2x4 raised beds and containers. It's like I can come out and do 10 minutes a day if that's all I've got, and the garden will be fine. Basically, it's just watering, and the upkeep of the plants is super easy with that size garden. It's not too bad. So I figured out like that's what I want to do. I don't want to change up that size. And then now I'm just looking at sun. And once I get a handle on the sunlight like over the next few days, and I start thinking about the sun requirements of my plants that I want to grow, which are mostly full sun, let's be honest. Like, I feel like almost all the vegetables, it seems like, are full sun. Although greens and like lettuces and things like that do well with a little bit of shade. So if one of my garden beds is kind of shaded by the house, it won't be the end of the world. So a little bit of shade from the house is actually, might actually be a good thing, and it might really good. My daughter's got her bikes out here. Yeah, we've just been enjoying this, going from winter to, I mean, like, it's 60 degrees right now, 65. It's such a big change, and really cool. I haven't ordered my raised beds yet, so I'm still kind of like in this little bit of a waiting period, but I need to figure out that layout and get my order in for my raised beds. I did bring all of my containers and everything with me, so I have this garden shed. Let me show you the inside of this. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with this space, but it's got like some nice shelves, and I don't know, there's kind of feels like potential. There's a little window, so I don't really think I can use it as like a greenhouse. Spinning around. I don't think I can use it as a greenhouse, but at least like there's some shelves, so we can organize some of the garden stuff, which will be kind of nice. And there's just a lot of potential in this area between the shed and the open space, and we'll get all the containers out. I've got to go get some potting soil. I've got to probably, run over to the garden center and see what plants there are this time of year at the garden center. So I didn't bring any of my house plants either, so I'm definitely gonna have to go ahead and do a little houseplant shopping as well. Now that I'm here, I'm gonna have to find the local garden centers. I'm also going to be starting some indoor, like seed starting, and actually trying to do some little indoor growing too, just sort of exploring all the different options. Since I don't have my big garden space right now, and it's going to take a little while for me to get it going, I kind of want to come up with some things to do in the meantime, just because I love plants. And I do have some seeds for houseplants, and I have a pretty good sunny houseplant window. So I'm thinking that I might actually try to start some of my houseplants from seed. I've done that in the past, and it's really fun. Like polka dot plants you can start from seed. I'm trying to think what other houseplants. There's a few others. I think depending on the seed company too, you can get some more, I think even like some begonias or something that would be technically it could work as a houseplant. So I think I might try to do some of that too. And then of course, there is always basil that always grows really well inside. So I may go ahead and get some basil started. I think that A little bit of basil in the house would be fun. And there's definitely, like, I have this nice bay window. So I'm super excited about that, because my last house, I didn't really have a very good, like, indoor, like, sunny window place for houseplants. I set up my own seed starting stations, and I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to get my seed stuff out. And I need to, as part of my garden plans, like, really nail down my list of things to sow, because I haven't even done any of that process because we've been moving, and I just didn't really know exactly what it would look like. So I need to set that all up too. So of course I'm going to share that with you. So I just want to get a few things going, just to kind of get me in that gardening kind of mood. Once you're in that routine of going out, you know, every day and gardening for whatever 10-15 minutes, you get into, like, a really good flow, and it's becomes so much easier and everything. But when you aren't doing it all the time, you sort of get out of that, and I just need to get back into growing things. It's been a while now. I think it's been almost a month since I had a house plant even, and then of course I was just, like, cleaning the garden up and packing it up. My daughter's trying to push her scooter. There you go. I was just packing the garden up, and I haven't, like, gotten any plants or done any planting in what feels like forever. So I want to get back into that. So here is the big garden space, the home of the future garden. I'm so excited to watch this turn into a garden. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon.